I'm John Brink, and we are podcasting on the Brink from Central British Columbia, Canada. And for all those people that are wondering, okay, we know where Canada is, and British Columbia on the West Coast, right? And so we are in British Columbia. In fact, we have the big city in British Columbia. It's called Vancouver. We are 500 miles north or 800 kilometers north of Vancouver for our friends in Europe. And so it's a beautiful, beautiful place with lots of friends, black bears, grizzly bears, caribou, deer, foxes, wolves, you name it, we have them all here. Lots of lakes, within 50 miles, 100 lakes. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. Today we have a very, very special guest. Her name is Heidi Reeves. Heidi, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Nice to have you. So let's talk about your background. You were born in Vancouver.
Yes.
And then, caring for young children in particular was an interest to you. In fact, what you, I believe, said you would like to have 10 kids and no husband.
That's right. When I was 5 years old, that's what I said. And then when I was 30, I ended up with 10 children and no husband because I had a daycare.
Yeah.
And so now I say to people, well, be careful and more specific about what you wish for. It couldn't come true. I'm really hoping that's going to happen with what I'm working on these days.
So that already started then in Vancouver, right? When you started daycare, or did that all start here in Prince George?
I took my training for early childhood education in Vancouver in the early 90s.
Okay.
And then I worked in preschool down there, and then I opened up my own daycare.
And so did you have particular training for it or life experience that brought you into becoming daycare, interested in set up an organization around it? But first you started working in it in Vancouver, and then you had always an interest in it, in particular autism and those issues, right?
Well, I had some knowledge about autism. What I had learned in order to work with children, but now I have a completely much more in-depth understanding of autism because I was diagnosed with autism when I was 48. Now I'm 56. But
did you have a general idea about autism? And autism, correct me if I'm wrong, is usually detected already fairly early in life, maybe not known as autism, but for some reason or another, children would be delayed in some of the things that would be expected from them at certain ages. Under circumstances where there is no autism, then then kids would be expected to do certain things along the way. And sometimes what happens in autistic or autism, it is a delay. Is that some of the things?
All autistics are different.
Okay.
Like for instance, plus boys and girls and male and female, and actually there's a huge non-binary people in who are autistic in the autistic community, adult community. As children, some children are delayed in speech and have low muscle tone and take longer to walk and that sort of thing.
Right.
And then there's the flip side. Like I was walking at 8 months old and I was talking 3-word sentences by the time I was 12 months old, and I was very verbal. And as a female, females tend to mask their autism much more than males. Like a little boy will, when most people think about autism, they think about little boys, lining up their trains and that sort of thing. And little girls tend to have interests that go under the radar. Like they can be totally obsessed with horses, for example.
Right.
Or in my case, I was totally obsessed with dolls and taking care of babies. And it was just kind of a theme through my whole life.
Right.
I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a ballet dancer. I wanted to take care of children. I wanted to be a pediatric nurse. I wanted to be a pediatrician. As they grew up, these are the things that I wanted to be.
Right.
And as time went by, I just kind of switched topics. I am not good at science. Like, that's not really true. It's biochem. That's the one that gets me.
Right. Yeah.
So I couldn't be a pediatrician.
Right.
So the other thing was teaching that I was really interested in.
Right.
And so my whole life, this has been a deep interest to learn more. So when I was a young woman, 20-ish, I started working as a nanny, and I got lots of books about early childhood education and just started learning on my own how children's brains work, how their development, what I can do for them, best activities to provide, and all that sort of thing. And as I was doing that, I decided to go into early childhood education instead of teaching, because the first 5 years of a child's life are the most important for their life.
Exactly.
And it's like, we got to get this right. And in the past, people haven't got it right.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to learn how to do this right. I'm going to do it perfectly. Everything's going to be fine. All these kids are going to grow up to be perfect people. But yeah, it's I really wanted to make a big difference in the lives of children and families.
Yeah. So the frequency of occurrence appears to be, and correct me if I am wrong, is that on autism in particular, it seems to be more in males than is it in females, or is it a question of what you said, that females masking it better than males do, but it does not necessarily mean that the frequency of occurrence is higher in the one group rather than the other?
So what happened was, it was first identified in males because it stands out so much more. Like in the beginning, they were focusing on the children who really stood out as being autistic, who were really focused on their own thing, and they don't answer to their name and that sort of thing, and they were the ones who were first diagnosed and studied, and so the criteria around what it was to be autistic was built around these boys.
Yeah.
So the only girls that would be recognized were the ones that were presenting like the boys.
Right.
But for most girls, they present differently.
Right. So in social interaction, talking about boys then, was one of the other elements that they kind of showed autistic tendencies, potentially not being recognized at that point?
Pardon me?
And the early lives, they had the autistic tendencies, by social interaction and those kind of things. Not so much in boys initially. Would that be part of it as well, interaction? Or what were the obvious indications in early parts of boys versus girls, or in a general sense? What would be the indication that I have this young person, is my child, obviously, and it shows indication of autism?
A young child nowadays?
At any time.
Yeah, well, back in the olden days.
Right.
Nobody
Olden
knew.
days could maybe 10, 20 years ago.
Like when I was growing up.
Right.
There was nobody had heard of autism.
Right.
So, like people with ADHD and autism, then when they went to school, all they did was get in trouble.
Right.
And people thought that they were stupid or whatever just because they have a different operating system in their brain.
Correct.
And especially with being dyslexic as well, on top of everything else, right?
That's me, ADHD and dyslexia.
Yeah. Which makes school very difficult.
Yeah, well, it's kind of sitting there and listening to somebody talk to you all day long was something that attention mechanism that I have. If somebody would ask me what the teacher talked about during the day or an hour ago, I had no idea. I was in a different world. So that was fairly normal to me.
Yeah.
And dyslexia was something where I'm very good at writing, but not very good at reading. Mm-hmm. And that's still the case today.
Yes, and another thing with autism is poor, like what I'm doing right now, poor processing of words and getting things out in a logical order. I mean, that doesn't affect everybody, but it really affects me. So,
well, you're doing fine with me, Heidi. So, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. Yeah.
You just wait. It's probably gonna come. I'll be like,
No, it's all part of it, so I'm not worried about that part. I just want you to relax and have this conversation. So let's take it one step further. So you were in Vancouver. So when did you decide, or what made you decide to go 800 kilometers north or 500 miles north to one place called Prince George, all the way from Vancouver?
Well. So, okay, I need to take a drink before.
Yeah, you do that.
I need a drink.
Yeah, that's good. No worries.
I don't actually drink.
No.
One of the things with autism is that many people have sensory issues, and I don't like the taste of almost everything.
Right.
So water is what I drink, like all the time.
And water is good for you.
Yes, thank goodness. It's the only thing I got going for me.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing.
Okay, so what I was saying. So I had a daycare that I was running in Vancouver.
Okay.
And I loved that daycare. I loved the children. I loved the families. I loved everything that I put into it. And I am the pour your heart and soul into it person. It's like, I got to do everything right. Got to make sure these kids have the best. And not knowing that I was autistic and not compensating for any of the things, I just kept pushing through when my body was telling me that things have to change, right? So eventually I just burned out. I couldn't do it anymore. I was like, I emptied my cup until it was completely empty.
Right.
And so that's at that time. At the same time, the jail had just opened here.
In Prince George, yeah.
And
so that was about
20 years ago.
How many?
20, just over 20 years ago.
10, 15 years ago, yeah. 20 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, because my dad is he's retired now.
A guard?
Guard, corrections officer.
Okay, correction officer, yeah.
So he wanted to work in this brand new facility.
Okay.
And my mom wanted goats. And they wanted to live on a lake with goats
Yeah.
and chickens
And
and work in the jail.
Yeah.
So that's what they did. And I was very close to them, so I moved too because I was kind of in a transition in my life.
Right.
And
That was about 20 years ago then?
20 years ago.
Yeah.
2005.
Yeah.
So we all came up.
And then you still had this interest in children in particular. You had not
I
been
couldn't let it go.
diagnosed as autistic at that point.
No.
And so you still wanted to do something with children. So you started again doing what you were left doing in Vancouver, started it here.
I actually started something else first because okay, this is hard to talk about, but when I came up here, I was quite depressed. I felt that I had failed. I'd failed these children. I'd failed myself, and I had to close the daycare that could have been awesome forever if I had known how to self-regulate. Well, so up here, I was like, can I actually keep doing this? And
that's how you felt when you were in Vancouver, when you decided to leave.
And I came up here.
That affected your confidence in terms of leaving there and then coming here in a new setting, and then wanted to continue in what you were doing in one way. On the other hand, you felt that you did not have the confidence, or you felt you had failed and then had to work your way through.
I felt I had failed.
Yeah. So how did you then take the step forward that got you kind of settled in and say, okay, let's start here and then work forward from there?
Well,
because you were still fairly young then.
Just 35.
Yeah, in your mid-30s. And so very important period of your life.
Yeah.
And especially coming into a whole new environment. And
it was... Did you come from a big city in Holland?
No. And our city, northeastern Holland, we probably had 10, 15,000 people or so.
So you went from a small town and then it was a little bit bigger here maybe?
When I came in 1965, probably Prince George was probably 20, 25,000, but everybody that came here, the normal question was, hey, when did you get here and when are you leaving? Because it was always about making money.
Oh.
And it had not settled down then. Obviously now we become a medium-sized city of about 80,000 people for a guest watching, and Prince George has gone through the transition of have all the facilities, university, colleges, and all the other underlying...
Come and live here, like seriously.
Yeah.
If you're from Vancouver, anywhere busy, come here, see the traffic, you'll never go home.
Exactly. And so, and that's what happened to Prince George. It's now being looked at as a family town in a lot of ways, and even with all the challenges that are going on in the rest of Canada and in other places, it still is unique in a way. Still, there is lots of potential. As I said, we probably within 50 miles we have 100 lakes here, and and it's paradise. And from my perspective, and I love it, So, but we have things like universities, colleges, and all the other infrastructure, and now it's not anymore a question of when did you get here and then when are you leaving. It's not more.
Yes, people come from around the world to go to the university.
Absolutely. And we have the most popular university in Canada of small university, and the same with the colleges, not only here in the city, but in the region, and to give people a perspective of where we are. British Columbia is a big province. We are, as I said in my introduction, 500 miles or 800 kilometers north of Vancouver, which puts us in the center,
in the middle,
in the center of British Columbia,
still a lot to go.
north, south, east to west. Now the people in Vancouver would say, no, not you, it's us,
Yes.
relatively speaking. So it's very close, but that's where we are. So there is another 500 miles north of here to the border with the Yukon Territory, and next to that is Alaska for people that I want to see. So let's go back to you and me and saying, now you came here, you've been struggling with self-confidence. Can I do this? What do I do now? All of a sudden, a whole new environment, but you still underlying, I presume, at that feeling you wanted to work with kids, still had the at 5 years old, you had the idea you wanted 10 kids and no husband, but you were still very attracted to helping and assisting younger persons in working.
Yes, and families.
And families.
So what I did was I learned about doulas. And
what is doulas?
A doula is, it means a woman's helper, basically, and a doula helps mothers through childbirth.
Okay.
She's not a medical professional like a midwife,
Right.
but she helps the mother and the father through labor and gives them the information that they need and helps them advocate for themselves and that sort of thing, and it helps reduce the pain and all that sort of thing.
So that is more or less being a doula is involved pre-birth to adjust the family to the birth in this new person being in their lives and adjusting to that, but also with the pre-birth discomforts and pains and all of that stuff that goes through birth and but also beyond that emotionally likely then?
So where I came in is as a postpartum doula.
Okay.
So I'm the person who helps the family adjust after the baby is born. Mm-hmm. I learned all kinds of things about newborns and supporting mothers, and I already knew how to support like toddlers who have a difficulty with having a new person to share with mom, and to help fathers because they can feel pushed out by having the baby with mom all the time.
Exactly.
And so supporting the whole family and making sure the mom is
adjusted.
Like adjusting, like answering all of her questions, and because there's a lot, it's a huge passage
Sure.
in life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there can be all kinds of things with uncertainty and questions about everything from diapering to
everything.
everything.
Right?
So I could help families with all of that, and even giving them a break if they needed.
So you started with that then kind of rebuild your confidence more, that you were doing a good job being helpful there, that then brought you further towards children that had potentially was not well known until relatively recently, 5-10 years ago. Neurodiversity issues were not even talked about. In fact, they were avoided, you know. Yes. So then what then in your case brought you to dealing with neurodiversity issues, in particular autism, if you wish, and then at the same time you were diagnosed, I believe you said, when you were 48 or so, but brought you to saying, I wonder if you already knew, likely as I did. I didn't know. I was diagnosed when I was 57 with autism, with ADHD, and I know I was different, but I didn't know why, and so it didn't preoccupy me, but in a way it did, because I failed grade 3 in Holland, and I failed grade 7 3 times, and then my parents were beautiful people, very, very supportive, but he said to him, I was 12 and a half years old, third time I failed grade 7. They said, what are you going to do with this guy? And some people said, send him to the mentally challenged school. They said, no, we're not going to do that. So then my grandfather was a master carpenter. And master carpenter, I say that with pride, because where I grew up in Holland, trades were looked at as no different than being doctors or architects or lawyers. They were looked at as having accomplished a skill set that is unique, and that's the kind that he was. He was a master carpenter, and sometimes even now, when I go back to Holland, he died in his early 40s, so I never got to know him, but I know him through the work that he did in churches and the amazing things that he did.
Live on, yeah.
Yeah, and so but they said at 12 and a half years old, the doctor would say, in school, I was a bit of a joke in a way, because John always failed in all this. If we did a test, and tests were usually scaled from a 1 to a 10, the 10 being the highest, then he would say, Peter had a 9, and Margaret had a 7.5, and then Keith had an 8.5, and John, as usual, had a 0. And everybody got a look.
That's just crushing. That's just crushing.
And so that always kind of stayed with me, but it didn't preoccupy me. I knew inside of me that I was just as smart as any of the others, but I always wondered, who am I? And then the other part that was important in my life is that, and next week is an important week for me and others, is that on the 11th, on Tuesday, is Remembrance Day, and we will be celebrating that in a way, but remembering the war and the ones that lost their lives. Up to 45,000 Canadians lost their life in the Second World War. And so we were liberated in northeastern Holland on April the 12th, 1945, by the Canadians. And me, as 5 years old, that I was so impressed by it that I knew with the Canadians that liberated us that as I grew up, I would go to the land of my heroes, Canada. And when I grew up, and I did when I was 24. And so, but we had seen far too much that we should not have seen during the war years. And all of those things still today be affected by PTSD, the inner child. I got counseling for that when in my 50s. But the other things in terms of, why do I fail in the traditional learning things where, I became a laborer working in the factory. I liked it, but my friends went on to college and university, and I became a laborer. I'm proud of that today, but then looking back, so then when I decided then, to go to Canada in July of 1965, I want to start with nothing. And so I had a suitcase, 3 books, 2 sets of clothes, very little money, flew into Montreal, couldn't speak language, didn't know soul. Yes, it will show that in a minute too. So, then took the train across Canada. It was 4 days, 5 nights. My God, that is a long way to go. And so came to Vancouver.
When you come from Europe. I went to London when I was like 19 or something, and I was visiting a friend that was working over there, and he said, why don't we go to Paris? I'm like, oh, that sounds so far away, because I'm from British Columbia and everything is so far away.
Yeah.
So, but we got on a bus of all things, and we were there like 2 hours later is what it seemed to me. Is like everything is so close.
So different, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So then when I came to Vancouver, went to the immigration department. Unfortunately, I was a German fellow. I couldn't speak English. Couldn't speak English, didn't have a job, didn't know a soul. And told them what I wanted to do is build a sawmill. He said, go to Prince George. That is 500 miles, 800 kilometers north of Vancouver.
He's very brave, very brave to do that all on your own.
Yeah. So, but I had to find out, who am I? And I had to start from the beginning. And so I came off the bus here in Prince George. I had my suitcase, I had 3 books, 2 sets of clothes, and I counted my money at least 3 times. I had $25.47. And so, and I can still see from here, about 2 or 3 blocks away from here, is the Greyhound station. It's still here in Prince George, and that was 60 years ago. And so, but attitude to me has always been important. No matter what happens, even in all the bad times, I've always been inside of me a positive attitude. I knew I was as good, not better than, as anybody else. I just felt I had to start all over again. And so that's what I did. Attitude, passion, whatever I do, I give it 125%. And then work ethic, even now, I say I work harder than anybody else. Even now, I just turned 85 on last Saturday, November the 1st. And I still, even today, I get up at 5:30, always make my bed, and I'm always feel that I'm late. And so, and I do all the other things, and with all the things that I did.
I have something to say about that, because I've heard you say that a few times. And so you were very similar that way. So you always say you work harder than anyone else. Me too. You wake up at 5:30 in the morning. I'm still awake at 5:30 in the morning. And
Still awake.
Still awake. Working.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you think you're always late? I am always late.
Yeah.
So, we're practically the same.
Yeah, exactly.
And between the two of us, we've got the whole 24 hours covered.
I like that too. And so then, then starting from there, for me, as it did for you, again, I was wondering, who am I as you left Vancouver, and wondering who you are, and then starting off, but I knew I could do it. And then I had to start with nothing, and then came here, learned to speak the language, was a cleaner man, blah, 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 all that other kind of stuff. The thing that made a difference to me is at one point, even when I was here already, a lot of people said to me, you're so successful, you should write a book about it. And I said, I didn't feel that way. But I already had a number of different businesses until after I was here for 32 years, in 1997, I walked into a bookstore, Books on 3rd, the store.
Books and Company?
Yeah, and I picked up a book.
Books and Company is an awesome store.
Yeah, it is. The book that I picked up is this one. This is the actual book that I picked up 32 years after I was here for 32 years. In January of 1997, I picked up this book. Written by Dr. Halliwell, medical doctor, professor, well known around the world, and he wrote 18 books, and 5 of them on distraction. And Dr. Halliwell is ADHD and has dyslexia. And when I read the book and went through it, and I was standing in the store and I went through this more and more and more, finally the guy that owned the store said, what we're going to do, we're going to buy it? No, he didn't say that. No, I just added that to it. Yeah. But so anyway, I got the book, and I the more I looked at it, I said, oh my God, that's me. And I wrote in the book, here you can see it, January 1997, but now I finally know who I am, but I wrote it in Dutch.
I'm looking at that going, I don't know about that. Maybe you could be a doctor.
No, the reason that I did it in Dutch, because it was implied that it may well be a mental deficiency. And so there I'm already building companies.
It's
I was
just a
already successful.
different operating system, that's all.
Yeah. And so then when I go to the banks and I have a proposal for hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars for my business plans, I already had a number of companies, and then present it to them. It's very impressive and very good. And then I say, oh, by the way, I have a mental disorder calling ADHD. They would say, have a nice day. So that was then, not so now, obviously, but then I had never even heard of it, ADHD or any of the other neurodeficiency issues. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so I still have the book today. In fact, I had Dr. Hollywell on my podcast number. This is podcast number, I think, 487 or so that I'm doing. And he was on my podcast number 203, Dr. Hollywell, talking about ADHD, dyslexia, and frequency of occurrence. In my mind, initially I thought it may be 7, 8, 9 or something like that. No, it's much higher than that, I concluded to me, and suggested to Dr. Hollywell, he's the expert. I lived it and said that it's probably 20%. He said, no, John, it's probably 25% or more. And I believe that is the case with ADHD and dyslexia, and then follow it with the other ones that you have spoken about in yours, that you're looking at, autism, bipolar, learning difficulty, dyslexia, ADHD, all of those things fall into the category.
And giftedness. Giftedness is a different way of thinking.
And I call it a superpower. Mm-hmm. And then since that time, I changed my mind as to who am I. I'm not saying that anything special, but at least I have a better understanding thanks to the book from Dr. Hollywell. And then from there and then, even then in 1997, I was already 57 years old. And then it took me 5 years before I would go to my doc. After I had looked at it here in Prince George, in the doc had delivered our 2 daughters, was a personal friend. And he said to me, hey, John, why are you here? I said, I think I got ADHD. And so we checked it out, and I do. And so, and the more I started to understand it, the more I felt, as you did likely, is I have an obligation to share my experiences with others. And I still do that today through the books that I write. I wrote one about ADHD and, the Unlocked.
I think that's the one my husband read. He found it very helpful because he figured that he's like ADHD as well. I think neurodivergent people really kind of get along with each other. They get each other. They're not anyway, I'm not going to talk about that. But like in my family, my mother and my brother are both ADHD, and my husband is, so somehow surrounded by it.
So the interesting part about it, Heidi, is that the frequency of occurrence much higher than we had anticipated. I get over in all the podcasting that I do, nearly 500 of them that I've done where I'm the host and podcast. I get over and over and over again that people that I podcast say, I haven't really told anybody this, but I also think, or I am ADHD. So the frequency of occurrence is that I believe that globally speaking, male and female are somewhat different, although I believe females are better able to mask it in a way than males do, although you shouldn't have to. But that it is and it can be a superpower. And once you understand it, it is. And I feel I'm not doing all my podcast about these issues and neurodiversity issues, but I do mix it into the podcast that I do on numerous things, so, and obviously, that's why you are a perfect guest for me here, because you are in the Prince George region, lived it in a way, and is able to share with us and others around the world the challenges that go with it and the challenges that still go with it today.
Because people look at you and think, well, you don't look autistic. And I'm like, spend 24 hours with me and see if I'm autistic or not. But you just learn how to
make it work for you, right?
You have to learn how to make it work for you, but also learn how to talk to people.
Yeah.
And I still miss a lot of things like I don't get the body language and I don't understand the intention behind what people are saying.
Okay, but it's still a work in progress for you as well.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And
once I learned I was autistic, then I learned about all kinds of things about autism and why I'm having the problems that I've been having for my whole life.
Yeah.
And so that I could do something about it. But there, like you said, there are aspects of it that really are superpowers. They, the passion and drive and I'm sure you get, or I should ask you, hyperfocus.
Oh, sure.
You get
absolutely.
hyperfocus. Like I can work like 18 hours at the computer practically every single day and looking at the stuff that I need, and I'm like, I feel driven to do it. I got to get this done. This needs to be done. This is important. And like with Mousewood Force and Nature School, which is what I'm doing now.
Okay, we want to talk about that one. Yeah, okay, you're doing that now. So that is this one here, and I'm going to show this to everybody. This is a document that you guys prepared, I presume?
Me.
That you prepared. And so the document is in particular to what you are doing is you have, it is Mousewood Forest and Nature Early Learning and Family Center. So you wrote underneath that, below walls, exploring
beyond walls,
beyond walls, exploring, learning, growing nature as a classroom. And so what you did here is develop a setting in nature that brought in juniors in particular with neurodiversity issues, primarily autism, but also others.
ADHD and autism.
ADHD and autism, and you bring them in. So tell us about how you got the idea about Mousewood, why Mousewood, why nature, that you started it, and then from there on in, how did you build it up? Where is it located? I know you have challenges with it.
Oh my God.
Yes. So we just want to get that out there. But I want the concept that you thought that you, again, following what you did, and already the attraction to young people and helping with them, and always wanted kids around you, no husband. But you,
I'm married now.
Now you have both. So it brought you in that direction that you already developed as a young person. So how did you develop this concept? When did you do it? How did you come up? What does the title mean, Mousewood? What is the attraction? Where is the location? How many children do you have? How do you go about it? And so on.
So you only have one question then. Okay, so I'm always interested in the new things anything innovation, new research, the best practices,
Right.
and keeping up to date. And so over the years here in Prince George, I wasn't just working trying to be a postpartum doula, which I had a hard time with because most people hadn't heard of that yet. And so I went back to working in childcare and found, and I'm going to get flack for this, but when I moved from Vancouver to Prince George, the Prince George childcare centers and the way that they were doing things was 10 years behind how things were being done in Vancouver. And so I really wanted to raise the level of care here. Now, big problem, I did not know I was autistic, and I was still thinking that there was something wrong with me. Because I would go work with people, I wouldn't be able to understand what they're talking about, they couldn't understand me, and it didn't end well several times. So I'm best when I'm making my own companies. And I'm very entrepreneurial, and I want to do the best. That's what I want, the best.
Right.
And I had learned about forced in nature schools quite a long time ago, and they had originally started in Scandinavia in around 1950s after the war. Swedes wanted the children to be back outside in nature. And I'm like, well, if the Swedes can have forced in nature schools outside with the snow, then we can do it here in Prince George.
Exactly, very similar, right?
So anyway, they got very popular, especially in places like England. And they came over to Canada around 2008, and they are very popular in lower British Columbia, around Victoria, Vancouver, and across the Kootenays.
So for our guests watching us, that's Vancouver Island, Lower Mainland, more or less, not Northern BC, and for the guests watching, in Northern BC is what you focus on.
Yes. So we have a beautiful setting. We have a lot of outdoorsy people, and lots of forests, and a lot of people here work in forestry. And also, a lot of people live in the city. They don't have access to, the children don't have access to playing in the woods like I did when I was growing up. And I think that it's very important. Children nowadays spend so much time inside. They spend time with screens, different kinds of screens, all kinds of screens. Right. And they need to connect with nature. It's healthy for them mentally and physically. Especially
for ADHD, autism related issues, and bringing them in a setting that is not a school, but something that is different, that may be of interest to them, and getting their interest in an environment that is different is helpful with autism, ADHD, and bipolar, if you wish, and all those things. So that's what you did. But the model already is there for you because it's done in Scandinavia countries, it's done in parts of Europe, it's done in the Lower Mainland as well. So you started that here. When did you start Mousewood?
In 2019, I was taking a course at CNC for administration of childcare centers.
Okay.
And we were, one of our assignments was to create our ideal center.
Okay.
And my ideal center was Mousewood.
Okay.
It's forest in nature.
Yeah.
The children can, the thing is that with children in ADHD and autistic children in particular, when they're in a normal childcare, there's fluorescent lights, there's children in your space, there's sound reverberating off the walls, there's stuff everywhere, there's teachers telling you, slow down, be quiet.
Not in nature.
Yeah.
And that was the whole idea, right?
Yeah, so get them outside.
Right.
Children with ADHD don't have to stop running. They don't have to be quiet. They can be themselves. The children who are autistic, yes?
No, I like it. That's what I was going to say. So you did the document. Is the document available online, this document? Or is it uniquely yours?
I just put that together for you. Some of it is from our parent package.
Oh, I think it's very good. Actually, and I quickly went through it.
Some of it is online on our webpage.
Okay, so your webpage is?
Mousewood.ca.
Okay, well that's an easy one for everybody watching us.
Yes.
So that being said, I like the concept. I was not aware how widely it is already implemented for all the reasons that you say. It makes sense to me. The next question is, where are the challenges? Where is it located here? Did you buy the property, or is the government help you in funding this process, or the region, or where are the challenges here where you need help?
Also, one question. I appreciate that. So I had been looking for quite a long time. In 2020, during the pandemic, is when I was trying to build this idea.
Right.
And I created the nonprofit organization.
Right.
Through the government, had 3 people that we needed to start.
What is the name of the organization? It's called Mousewood.
Mousewood Forest and Nature Early Learning and Family Society.
Okay.
So the center is the center, and then the society is that.
Right.
So I couldn't really do anything during the pandemic, but afterwards, I just kept looking for a place that would be suitable. Looking for a place that was not too expensive.
Right.
So I found a place out in Haldie. It's 5 acres, and it's
How far from the downtown region?
15 to 20 minutes.
Oh, that's doable, right? So that's access is easy.
Yeah, it's 5 minutes past Walmart, if anybody knows what that is. Like,
Yeah,
people
it's
around the world
west
have
of
no
Prince
idea.
George. West of Prince George, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah, it's actually really easy to get to, because in Prince George, you get there from the highway. From downtown, you go down the highway. The highway's fast. It's like boom, you're there.
Yeah. So you got that then, or how did that work?
So we worked it out with our landlord that we had a 5-year lease.
Okay.
And with the triple net and stuff like that.
Right.
And so we moved in February of this year.
Okay.
And
About 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Approximately. Yeah.
So we worked really hard. I had already a lot of stuff because I've had daycares before and preschools. I used to have my own preschool.
Yeah.
So we got it all set up, and we were waiting for licensing. And getting licensed was a long process. I have to say, I am so lucky. I have a particular licensing officer who understands and appreciates what we're trying to do.
Right? Yeah.
Because there is nothing in the regulations to do with forest and nature schools.
No.
Forest and nature schools everywhere else in the province are not licensed.
Yeah.
I wanted to be licensed. The purpose for being licensed is that the parents can get funding from the government to reduce their fees.
Very important. Right. Okay.
So, sorry, I'm so thirsty.
Yeah, no, that's great. Do you need more water?
I will.
Okay. So getting funding from government.
Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Okay, so the government, when they came, the NDP, when they came in, they came up with a plan, a backwards cart before the horse
Right.
plan, to create more childcare spaces for parents and reduce fees.
Right.
So they worked really hard on that before building a workforce. So there was not very many people to run these places.
No.
And people who shouldn't have been working were getting hired,
Right.
which is terrible for the field.
Right.
So anyways, fast forward to this year, I found the landlord, we got the thing, we moved in, and licensing was really backed up. So it took us until June, from February to June, to get our license. And part of that was dealing with the city.
Yeah.
So what we had planned to do was get a temporary use permit, a TUP,
Yeah.
for our land, and so that we could have what's called community care facility major, because all of the properties can have community minor.
Is it within the city of Prince George? It's still in the city of Prince George?
Yes.
In terms of jurisdiction, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So we can have up to 12 children without having to have a commercial license.
Okay, so that is, the limit is 12, but you could do more if you had a commercial license?
Yes, our plan was to have, I believe in small groups of children. I think
Right.
small groups of children are more natural, and the big centers with like 25 kids or whatever and 3 caregivers is like, oh,
Yeah.
that's not normal.
No.
And fluorescent lights and everything else.
No. Okay.
So I have small groups of children in a natural, homey-like environment. So there's 8 in one space, 8
Right.
down here, and 8 down there. So there's supposed to be 24 children altogether.
Right.
Just not a big center.
Right.
And we were counting on the government's minor capital funding, because they have been sponsoring new childcare spaces basically since 2018. So
In other places,
across the province,
but not in northern BC.
Yep, everywhere.
Okay, good.
And like the YMCA that's right there.
Yeah, is one of them. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So in the fall, in September, they said they were going to put the funding on hold just because of the election that was coming in October.
Right.
And that they would get the funding back going in the spring.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, please, when is it going to come? Because we really need help. We need to build fences.
Right.
We need, to make this forest safe. We need,
Right.
because we're building forest classrooms.
Right.
As a licensed center, we have to have an actual brick and mortar building.
Okay.
But as a forest and nature school, we have outdoor classrooms.
Okay.
So all of the things that you would find in a classroom would be out in the forest.
Right.
And there would be different classrooms for different children. And then they could pretty much go on field trips all the way around the
Right.
property. There's wetlands, there's streams, there's a meadow.
All of that, right?
And yeah, the children can really get to know how the ecosystem works. They can track animals, we can learn how to build shelters, they can work with tools, all kinds of things.
So where are you at now? Where is the challenge now? So that we can share that with the city and the region and the people.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so it's one of the things that it started with was that on April 1st, the government announced that they were not going to be funding any more daycares.
Okay.
So we didn't get funding.
Okay.
So we've been paying for it all ourselves.
Yeah.
And the city with the temporary use permit won't let us have a commercial license.
Okay.
Because
That is under the jurisdiction of the city, right? Okay.
they said we need to bring that. It's a 1970s home. It's a home. We got it because it's a home and children need to be in a home.
Right.
They want it to be institutional. And this house belongs to a landlord who's eventually going to sell it as a home. So we have to, one, we can't afford to have an architect or an engineer come and do a plan, whatever it's called, and compare us to the BC commercial building code, and then put in fire sprinklers and everything.
All of that. So Heidi, these things are being, these nature facilities, schooling, if you wish, are the family centers, early learning family centers, are being run all over the province in different locations already, like this.
They're not licensed.
They're not licensed. And you want it to be licensed. Now, the other ones around the world, is this model very similar to that from other ones around the world? Or are you doing things that are uniquely different for your setting?
Our setting is pretty unique because we are here in Prince George. So just the fact that they aren't cookie cutters, they're dependent on where you are.
Right.
So the children here will learn about our ecosystem.
Right. So they are particular measured for this region, this location. I like the idea that it is part of the city because that puts it under the umbrella of the mayor of Prince George and city council. To have they been involved, and if so, in which way?
I have been in contact with the city planners.
Okay.
And
successful?
Not at all.
Okay, so let's then say that this podcast will be seen by them. You know, I will make sure of that, and then I will have a talk to the mayor as well. I normally don't do this on these kind of podcasts, but I believe the issue is so critical and so important that I want to have a talk to the city about what else can we do together, potentially, to look at this and see what can we do to help you in this process as a city and as a government. So
it's very important to the children, and it's a new initiative, so we are not fitting into the policies that they have.
Yeah, so then maybe the policies have to change, you know, so how is that for an idea?
Like, you have run into that so many times in your life.
I have, yeah. So what we're going to do, we're running already somewhat over time, but these issues are so critically important. I wanted to get from you, where are the issues, where are the challenges, what can we do, how do we go forward? Okay. And that's what we're going to do.
All right, I'm going to cut to the chase.
Okay.
So as the first licensed forest and nature school in Prince George, our approach is exactly what the research says we need for children right now. We are being blocked by outdated policies not designed for forest and nature schools, such as the government not allowing us to charge what we need to charge, and not funding us, and the city blocking our applications.
Right. So what we should do, we cannot solve that in this podcast, but what we can do is I want to get a copy of what you have there. You can go through the list a little bit further, but the details of it we have to sort out later, but at least give us the main key points that you have there.
Yes. The next thing is staffing. We There's such a crisis in staffing right now,
Right.
and we need highly trained staff.
Okay.
One, they have to be trained in trauma and neurodivergence, and two, they need to be trained in forced and nature schools.
Right. Okay.
And there are none. There's just
Right.
none. And
You have to train it from the ground up. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
The other things is the government's way that they are dealing with right now. They're pushing for mediocre care. We'll get into that another time. The community says they want this, but the policies are preventing it from being accessible. And we are looking for people who can help us because the location where we're at is actually turning out to be not a great location, because although it seems beautiful, we have the wetlands, the woodlands, and the meadow. It is original forest, and it is getting really old, and the cottonwoods and things and the birch trees are lovely, but they are falling down, and
So
we
you
need a
help.
different location. We can't stay there.
Right. So what we should do is, have you got a phone number available maybe
Yes.
that we can, but how can people contact you?
They can contact me on email at mousewoodchildcare@gmail.com.
Okay.
They can contact me through the website at mousewood.ca,
Okay.
and they can call at 250
Right.
906
Right.
0581.
Good. Heidi, amazing podcast, interesting concept. Obviously, it is being done successfully. It's just the evolving of neurodiversity issues. It's becoming better known around the world. And then the other part is that how do we create incentives in a smaller basis, including nature, which is being done in Scandinavia, other parts of Europe. How do we go here in the northern British Columbia, particularly Prince George, as the capital, I call, of northern BC? How do we find a way of this particular experiment taking it forward so we become the example of how to do it, not the opposite? And obviously, to have people like Heidi involved that has committed virtually her life to this, I believe is very, very important. We should look at ways of help her, assist her, and encourage her. That's the purpose of this podcast, and we will share it with other people around the world in the next 2 hours and have a basic idea of what we are trying to do here, what is being done in other people, and hopefully the city of Prince George will contact her and myself as well, as saying, okay, what can we do? What should it look like? How can we make it happen? Heidi, it was a pleasure to have you on my podcast.
I absolutely had a fantastic time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.